Hello, boys and girls. It's Miss Dow here, back with our next demonstration for our next project. So we are going to start looking at how to draw trees in a realistic manner. It's something that a lot of you asked me about. So I thought we would take a time and have everybody learn it, but we're also going to be using some mixed media. So we're going to do some drawing. We're going to also learn more about value and how to create value in our pictures and space. And then we're also going to do some coloring and some sponge painting. So we're going to kind of dabble in a lot of different areas. And we got to finish this in our 7-day rotation. Okay. So it's going to be fast paced. So let's get right to it. All right. So this is what we're going to create. You're going to draw a tree in 2 seasons. Fall and winter. All right, so let's go back up here. This is in Canvas, boys and girls. So these are all the pictures I took as I was creating mine. So you can come in here and look at them anytime you need to. But I'm going to use it to kind of give us an idea of how to do this. So first of all, you're going to plan your picture. Okay, you're going to practice and plan. So you're going to draw your tree. And the first thing you do when creating a tree is the trunk. Now remember, the trunk is only about 1/3 of the tree. So if you were to draw a full tree, let's just real quick, the top of the tree, if you ever notice, if you go outside and actually look at a big full-grown tree, the top part where all the branches and the leaves is about 2/3 the size usually. Pine trees might be an exception to that, of the tree trunk. Okay, so if you back up and you really look at it and you kind of measure it, the trunk is much smaller. Okay, so you start up by making the trunk and you take it like this and you kind of slope it down out onto the ground to begin what will eventually be the roots of the tree. And then you extend the top out so that you see the shape of a Y, the letter Y. Okay, you see it there. So like the Y's, a capital Y is like a tree, right? You have the bottom, the trunk, and the branches. Then you're going to take the letter V and you're going to put it in here. Now, I like to go ahead and put it in the center because it sets me up for the next one. All right, so there's the V. And then I'm going to keep switching colors so you can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to put another V right here because I'd already set myself up with that Y. So we'll put in a V here and there. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 branches off of my big branches. So now I'm going to extend it again. So I'm going to go back to blue. So I'm going to extend these a little bit into a Y. All right, you would do that with each of these. Extend them out a little bit, like the Y. And boys and girls, you're going to erase a lot. So draw lightly. If you see in my drawings here, you can tell it's light because you can barely see them. All right, and then add the V. And you keep going with this process. Notice how the branches are getting smaller and smaller. You're going to keep going until you see in my example where the branches actually form twigs, right? It's just one little line to form a twig. All right, so let's see how it goes. Okay, so you'll see how I started here. I showed you step by step how I added some of the branches, like I just showed you. And now here you can see it's really starting to come together and fill in. As you saw in my final example, this is the winter side. So I'm going to be a lot more detailed with these branches than I am on this side where it's fall. And I know that I'm going to be doing a sponge printing over it. So that's one of the reasons why you're going to practice and kind of plan, because there's no point in doing all of that detail with the branches on the fall side when you're just going to cover it with paint. But you will see some branches. So you do need to put some in there. All right, so here I go. I'm continuing. Now here, I decided to take a break from the branches, but before I point that out, look, do you see how they're starting to become more like little twigs, right? I kept going until they became like twigs. and they're not stiff. Notice how lightly I'm doing this. I'm not pressing hard, and I'm giving them some flow, right? They're not jagged or rigid. They're not straight lines. There's some bends in them, I should say. And then also here, we talked about space. All right, I really want to start you seeing, I really want to see your horizon line, your foreground, middle ground, background. Okay, this is how artists create space in their artwork with overlapping foreground, middle ground, background. It also helps arrange everything, right? So you can see the tree, there's the roots right here. So I don't need a line on the ground to show me the foreground. The tree is the foreground. So I don't have to put another line to show that. I did, however, put a line here to show the middle ground. So this is like a hill. And then I did a different line for my horizon line. All right, I actually think I did this. This is one, and then actually this is another hill instead of red, so make it look different. All right, so I added that detail in. Remember, horizon line is where the sky comes down to the ground. All right, and then I worked back and worked the branches on this side a little bit. All right, and now I'm starting to color. So we're going to work with value. Take a good look, boys and girls. I started with, well, usually I start with the middle color. I start with the medium tone, not the dark, not the light. Remember, you can always make something darker, but once you go dark, you can't lighten it very well. Now with colored pencil, you can erase it. But if you're using crayon on some of these areas, like you will on the ground with the larger areas, you can erase crayon. Okay, so it's just in general, it's just a rule of thumb. It's much easier to make it darker if you need it than it is to go back and make it lighter. So I do the medium brown, and then I'd go in and add some of the dark, and then I would highlight the edge with the lighter. And I'll show you about, and it's all in how softly you press or hard. And that's, boys and girls, it's just practice. You got to just practice it. All right, same thing with the crayons here. You can see I took the green and I did all the green. I did the green here lightly and made it a little bit darker. And now I'm starting to go with the brown and make it darker here. And I use the lighter green up here to show that the sun is kind of glowing on it. All right, and you can see here the grass that's finished. You can really see some definition coming in here. I added some more of that brown to make that dark. So you can see the top of the hill coming down to in between the hills of the different areas of the grass. And I did the same thing with the snow. Okay, it's on white paper, but yes, you can show snow. I use a gray, it's like a grayish purple color. And then I used some white. So I blended these together and I used the white to blend it out. That's a little trick that I'll tell you about when you want to blend them together. Take a lighter color and just rub over it, and I'll show you that in a minute. It blends them together. All right, and so here's the snow all done, and I'm working on the sky. Decided to do a sunset. Be careful if you do this that you're not covering all your branches, especially on the winter side. All right, and then we do some sponge painting. I did red, orange, and then the yellow on top. And then of course, you have the finished product. All right, and now notice I added just a tiny bit of snow. Let's not cover up the hard work that you're gonna do on this tree. We wanna see the details of this tree. And then also notice I did some sponge painting here on the ground for the leaves that fell. Notice, however, there's no leaves back here. Why? Do you see any trees back there? No. Okay, the tree is here, so it should be here in the foreground. So don't put it way back there. Okay. All right. So let's do just a little bit of a demonstration so you can see how it comes together. Okay. So let me fix the camera here. This is actually my second attempt, boys and girls. It keeps glaring on me. Okay, here we go. So I'm doing this on blue paper, a light blue paper, because the white paper just keeps glaring and you can't see. So the colors don't quite look quite right, but it'll still work. All right, so let's just say I'm going to deal with the sky and I'm going to mix some colors. So I usually start at the top when I'm doing the sky. Again, remember, it's easy to go darker later. So I'm doing it dark. I'm not pressing too hard. All right, I'm going to press a little bit harder up here. All right, and then as I come down, I'm getting ready, and I know I'm going to blend this into another color. I'm going to fade it out. I'm going to try to get real light gradually. When you're mixing colors or you're doing value, you don't see the separation. You should be able to look at it and say, oh, where does the color change, right? It should be really hard for people to figure out where that happens. There shouldn't be a line where it suddenly gets lighter or it suddenly gets darker. It should be very gradual like this, okay? So now I can take another color, like for example, blue. And which one is this? Yeah, navy blue. So navy blue is a good one for nighttime because it's a dark blue. So again, I'm going to come into this purple where I did it. Again, I'm going to do it very lightly, kind of blend in the spaces where the purple didn't go. Now notice how I'm not going the same direction. I've been teaching you to go short strokes, same direction. Anybody want to know why or think about why I taught you that in kindergarten, first and second grade, or kindergarten, first grade? It's because I'm teaching you how to control the crayon or the color pencil or whatever it is you're using. Once you can control it, you can do short strokes still. I'm not doing big strokes, but you can now kind of do a variation of the directions, and that will help give you some texture and directional lines. We'll add to the picture. So as I come into this purple, I'm pressing a little bit harder. I want that, if I want it to be a nighttime sky, like I was showing you in my final picture there, where I was showing nighttime, the sun going down. Now see how it's starting to get darker? I didn't have to do super, super dark purple because as I bring in the blue, the two colors are mixing and actually making a darker color. But notice, oh, look, you see that right there? There's a line. You can see right here where it ends. That's what I was talking about. Don't let it do that. So I know I need to come back in, kind of blend that out. Okay. All right, now last color. I'm gonna extend it down. You can just keep going with as many colors as you want to. I'm just going to demonstrate 3. Okay, so now I'm going to bring it down. Oh, let's see, what color? Blue. I don't want to do yellow because yellow and blue make green. I don't want to see a green sky. So I think I'll bring in some pink. All right, so I'm going to take some pink down here first, and then I'm going to gradually bring it up. Now, pink is a much lighter color than blue, so I'm probably going to create a line here. I'm probably going to have to come back in with that blue into the pink a little bit. I'm going to bring it all the way up into the purple, this pink, just a little bit into the purple so that I can't see where one color starts and where it ends. Okay, and of course, if I want to make this pink a little bit darker and brighter and bolder, I can press harder. Press harder a little bit into that blue. And just like I thought, yep, I'm getting that line. You see that line? Not too bad. I think I can see it better in person than you can on the video. But that's okay. I can just take that blue and then very lightly just kind of extend it a little bit into the pink, and I get rid of that line. And now you have value. It goes from dark to light, but that's using different colors. Okay. I probably could add a little more blue in there, but I won't do that right now. All right, that's when you're using colors. It's much easier, I think, when you use one color. I love using multiple colors. It just, to me, it deepens the color. It makes them more rich. Okay, so value, remember, is how much you have of a color. When you put two colors together, or even three sometimes, it deepens and richens. The word, I don't think it's a word. It just, it makes the color richer, okay? And you know, rich means lots, right? It's an abundance. Okay, so let's use some colored pencil. Let's see. Maybe we'll go some of those browns, like with the tree, huh? Get some, you can mix some red browns, like maroon. Some trees have a little bit of a red hue to them. Oh, that's two browns. There's a light brown, okay, a regular brown and a maroon. So I'll mix in some red. All right. I'll put my glasses on for this part. All right, so again, when you're doing like the tree, you want the texture to show in the tree. This is where that's how I create texture. This is where you kind of press hard. So I kind of just zigzag, press kind of hard and light to create variations. And I leave gaps in the color. I'm just going to do a little section here. Okay, so I'm going to do some, come back in here. I'm going to add a few darker areas. All right, but you see how I'm kind of going zigzag and I'm leaving these little gaps. Okay, now I can come in with a darker color. And I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to make sure I kind of start getting into those gaps that I created. And as I do this and layering the colors, it starts to create that texture of the tree bark. And I can add some of the lighter color to the outside edge here. I don't think I like that reddish color. That color didn't work very well. All right, you kind of get the idea there. Now, if it's not working, like it's not kind of doing what I wanted it here, I need a darker color. So I need to find a darker brown, purple, black even. I think my black is in here, it's a little, yep, here it is. All right, so, oh, it broke. That's not gonna work very well. Do I have another one? Yep, here we go. You can tell I use black a lot because they're both little. So again, not too much black because boys and girls, black is a powerful color. You can see because they're so short, I use them, but I use them sparingly when I do use them because they're so powerful. And remember, once you make it too dark, you can't really take it away. All right, so actually that's, see, that's starting to change it. It's starting to bring back that texture that I lost. Okay, you see how it's starting to come together there. So sometimes the value scale is obvious, right? Like in a sky or sunset, but then value in a tree isn't as obvious because it's kind of mixed together. You're using it to create texture. All right. So just to recap, you're going to plan, draw out your tree and practice in your drawing journal. And then the next day you'll draw it out on your larger paper. You'll start coloring those value scales. And then maybe around day 4, we will start the sponge printing. All right. So real quick, I'm going to show you sponge printing, but we'll watch this another day. All right, so I have my tray here, okay, with my colors. I'm going to start with a darker color first. And you don't need a lot. I'm just gonna, you can see when I was making it before, it spread out a little bit, not a lot of paint. You don't want it gooey. You want that texture. See how it creates like that texture, okay, of like the leaves. And then you're just gonna press it like this. Don't squish it down because then you get this dark solid. Whoops, did you see that? You get that dark solid thing. You don't want that. Okay, that's not what the leaves look like. So again, just kind of get a little bit and then just kind of gently. You want some variation, right? We're talking about value. So you want some little bit of dark, you want some light areas. So there you go. You got some dark, you got some light. After you're done with the darkest color, and you don't have to use all three, boys and girls. If you just want to use two of the colors, you can. All right. And so again, just going to get a little bit. Accidentally get too much on there, try to get it off. I'm going to just vary it around, not saturating it. I'm not going to cover everything. I want to leave some of that red. Okay, there's a mix there. And then again, the yellow. Yellow's a light color, but you'll see it's going to have no problem showing. All right, and that's sponge painting. Really easy. It's just, and if you do it too much, it's going to make them all mix and they're going to be just a mixed new color. You're just going to have this orange red color. So if you want to be able to still see the separation of the colors, you don't want to keep going and doing sponge painting. You just want to do a little bit each layer and then leave it alone. Okay. All right. So then we'll do that last. That will be the last part, the sponge painting. All right. I'm excited. All right. I can't wait to see these. I think they're going to be gorgeous. I can't wait. So have fun. Happy creating as the word goes.